My mother didn't even try to soften it. She laughed, actually laughed, and said, "Diane, you'll never have a house like your sister's." The word never landed harder than the laugh. My father nodded, like he was agreeing with the weather forecast. "Your sister made smarter choices," he added. "That's just reality." Across the table, my younger sister Karen leaned back in her chair, arms crossed, wearing that familiar expression, the one that said she'd already won. "You're just jealous," she said lightly. "I mean, I would be too." The room went quiet, waiting for my reaction. For most of my life, this was the moment where I shrank, where I laughed it off, where I went home and questioned every decision I'd ever made. But that day, something inside me finally went still. I looked at my teacup, white porcelain, unchipped, calm. "You should come over sometime," I said, "to my place." Karen blinked. "Your apartment?" I smiled. "Sure." My mother waved a dismissive hand. "Diane, don't be dramatic." But Karen leaned forward, curiosity lighting her eyes. "When?" "Tomorrow afternoon," I said. "Tea's at 3. She laughed again. "Fine, I'll come. Might as well see how the other half lives." My parents agreed to come too, mostly, I think, out of pity. None of them noticed that my hands weren't shaking. None of them noticed that I didn't explain myself, because for the first time in my life, I didn't need to. When they arrived the next day, Karen was already on the phone, standing at the curb. "Mom," she said loudly, "I think Diane gave us the wrong address." My parents stared at the gate in front of us, the long driveway, the name engraved in stone. And that's when my mother whispered something I will never forget. My mother's voice dropped to a whisper. "Diane, are you sure this is the place?" The gate stood 10 feet tall, black iron, clean lines, no ornamentation, just quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't ask to be admired. Karen was still on her phone, pacing. "Yeah, Mom, I don't see an apartment building, just some estate." Estate. I reached into my purse and pressed the remote. The gates opened without a sound. Karen stopped pacing. My father took a step forward, then froze. "No," my mother said softly. "This must be some kind of mistake." I didn't answer. I got back into my car and drove through. They followed in silence. The driveway curved gently uphill, lined with old trees and winter hedges trimmed within an inch of perfection. The house revealed itself slowly, the way expensive things do, nothing flashy, just presence. Glass, stone, warm wood. 3 levels, wide and grounded, not trying to impress anyone. Karen's voice finally cracked. "Oh my God." My father pulled over before the car even stopped rolling. We stood there for a moment, none of them moving. Then Karen laughed. A sharp, nervous sound. "Okay," she said. "Whose house is this?" I took my keys out. "Mine." My mother shook her head immediately. "No, Diane, be serious." "I am." My father turned to me, really looked at me for the first time in years. "You rent this?" "No." Karen crossed her arms. "Did you marry someone?" "No." The silence stretched. I unlocked the front door. Inside, the house smelled like cedar and clean air. Sunlight poured through the windows, hitting the floors just right. Nothing staged, nothing excessive, just lived-in calm. Karen stepped inside like she was afraid the floor might disappear. This is bigger than my place," she said too quickly. My mother ran her hand along the counter. Stone. Real stone. "When did you—" "I've lived here for 3 years." That's when my father's face changed. 3 years. Not yesterday, not recently, not accidentally. 3 years meant I hadn't just gotten lucky. "Why didn't you tell us?" my mother asked. I shrugged. "You never asked." Karen laughed again, but this time it was forced. "So what, you flip houses now or something?" I poured the tea, set the cups down carefully. "No." My father cleared his throat. "Then what exactly do you do, Diane?" I looked at him over the rim of my cup. "The same thing I've always done." They waited. And for the first time, I let them feel what it was like to wait on me. "I build things," I said, quietly. Karen's smile was starting to slip. "But this kind of money doesn't just—" "I know." My mother sat down hard in a chair. And that's when Karen noticed the wall. The photographs, the awards, the framed permits and plans she didn't understand, but my father did. He stepped closer. His hands began to shake. "Diane," he said slowly, "who helped you with this?" I met his eyes. No one. The truth landed heavier than any insult they'd ever thrown at me. Karen opened her mouth to say something cruel, something familiar, but nothing came out. Because for the first time, the story she told herself about me no longer worked, and she was running out of ways to explain it. My mother recovered first. She always did. She straightened in the chair, folded her hands, and smiled the way she used to smile at church, soft, practiced, harmless on the surface. "Well," she said gently, "we always knew you were capable, Diane." Karen snapped her head toward her. "What?" My father nodded slowly, seizing the lifeline. "Of course we believed in you," he said. "We just didn't think you'd disappear like this." Disappear. I almost laughed. "You told me I'd never have a house like Karen's," I said, calm, exact. My mother waved her hand. "Oh, you're being sensitive. We were just worried about you." Karen scoffed. "Yeah, worried you were delusional." There it was, the familiar edge. I took a sip of tea and let the silence stretch again. "You came here today," I said, "because you wanted to see my apartment." Karen's jaw tightened. "And now you're uncomfortable," I continued, "because the story you've told yourselves for years doesn't fit anymore." My father frowned. "That's not fair." "No," I said softly. "It's accurate." Karen started pacing. She always paced when she felt cornered. "So what? You think you're better than us now?" she snapped. "You think money makes you special?" I didn't say that. "But you're acting like it," she said. "This whole thing, inviting us here, it's a performance." My mother nodded quickly. "It does feel showy." I set my cup down carefully. "You laughed at me," I said. "You told me I was jealous. You said I'd never have what Karen has." Karen crossed her arms. "Because you didn't." My father raised his voice slightly. "Karen." She ignored him. "You lived small," she said. "You chose safe. Don't pretend this—" She gestured around wildly. "Means you suddenly won." I stood. Not abruptly, not dramatically. Just enough to remind them that this was my house. "I didn't choose small," I said. "I chose quiet." Karen rolled her eyes. "Same thing." "No," I said. "Small wants attention. Quiet doesn't need permission." My father looked at the documents on the wall again. He was doing the math now. The kind of math men like him respect. "How much is this place worth?" he asked. Karen whipped around. "Dad." "What?" he said. "I'm asking a question." I smiled slightly. "Enough." My mother's voice sharpened. "Diane, you don't have to be rude." Rude. That word had followed me my whole life. Rude for having boundaries. Rude for not explaining myself. Rude for not shrinking when expected. Karen stepped closer to me. "So how did you do it?" she demanded. No secrets, no vague answers. I looked at her, really looked. By not spending my energy convincing people who already decided I was nothing. Her face flushed. "That's a dig," she snapped. "It's an observation." My father exhaled slowly. "You could have told us," he said. "We're family." I tilted my head. "Family doesn't mock. Family doesn't compare. Family doesn't laugh." The room went cold. Karen's voice dropped. Dangerous now. "So what are you saying, Diane?" I met her eyes. "I'm saying I didn't build this to impress you." She stared at me, lips pressed thin. Then she smiled. And that smile told me everything. "Oh," she said softly. "I get it now." Karen turned to my parents. "She wants us to feel small." And in that moment, I realized something chilling. Karen wasn't embarrassed. She was threatened, and she wasn't done. Karen's smile didn't reach her eyes. She turned away from me and faced our parents instead, shaking her head slowly like I was the problem. "You see this?" she said. "This is exactly what I mean. She's punishing us." My mother looked startled. "Punishing?" "Yes," Karen insisted, "inviting us here just to rub it in, to make us feel stupid." I leaned against the counter, suddenly very tired. "You mocked me," I said. This is your reaction to seeing the truth. My father cleared his throat. Let's all calm down. Then he did something unexpected. He smiled, the same smile he used when he wanted something. Well, he said, gesturing around the house. We're proud of you, Diane, truly. This is impressive. There it was, the pivot. My mother nodded eagerly. Very proud. We just wish you'd trusted us enough to share. Karen stared at him. Dad. He ignored her. You know, he continued, your mother and I have been thinking about downsizing. My stomach tightened. We're not as young as we used to be, my mother added softly. Maintenance is hard. Stairs are hard. Karen's eyes lit up. Oh, that's actually perfect, she said quickly. This place is huge. You don't even need all this space, Diane. I felt it click into place. They weren't here to reconcile. They were here to reposition. You could help them, Karen continued, warming to the idea. I mean, family helps family, right? My father nodded. Maybe temporarily, until we figure things out. I straightened. No. The word hung there. Karen blinked. What? No, I repeated. This isn't a solution bank. My mother's face fell. Diane, we're not asking for charity. Yes, I said. You are. Karen scoffed. Unbelievable, after everything we've done for you. I laughed once, short, sharp. What exactly was that? My father frowned. We raised you. You raised me to stay quiet, I said. To stay small, to stay grateful for scraps. Karen snapped. That's not fair. It's accurate. My mother's voice hardened. So you're just going to abandon us now that you've made it? I looked at her, really looked. You abandoned me years ago, I said. I just didn't make a scene about it. Karen stepped forward, angry now. You think you're better than us? No, I said calmly. I think I'm done being less. My father stood. His tone changed, authoritative, cold. This attitude is why we worried about you. There it was. Control through shame. I walked to the front door and opened it. You should go. Karen stared at me. You're kicking us out. Yes. My mother gasped. Diane. You came to inspect, I said. You came to compare, and then you came to claim. My father's jaw tightened. You'll regret this. I met his gaze without flinching. No, I said, you will. They left in silence, but as Karen passed me, she leaned in and whispered, This isn't over. And I believed her. Because people who lose control don't walk away. They escalate. It started 3 days later. Not with a phone call, not with an apology. With silence. The kind of silence that feels organized. Then my aunt called. I just want to understand something, she said, voice tight. Why did you humiliate your parents like that? I didn't answer right away. Humiliate, I repeated. She sighed. Karen said you invited them over just to throw your money in their faces, that you made them feel small, that you kicked them out. I closed my eyes. So that was the story. By the end of the week, I'd heard 10 versions of it, that I'd changed, that I'd forgotten where I came from, that I was cold, ungrateful, and my favourite, not the Diane we raised. Cousins stopped returning texts. Family group chats went quiet when I spoke. My mother left a voicemail crying, not apologising, just mourning the daughter I had apparently become. Karen was busy. She posted photos online the same day, pictures of her house, her car, her smiling with my parents at brunch. The caption read, Family is everything, even when some people forget that. The comments were brutal. Some people don't deserve parents. Money really does change people. So sad. I stared at my phone, something inside me finally settling. This wasn't accidental. This was strategy. Karen had always needed an audience, and now that she'd lost control over me, she was trying to control the narrative. My father called that Sunday night. You've caused a lot of pain, he said without greeting. I told the truth, I replied. No, he snapped. You embarrassed us, and now people are talking. There it was. Not you hurt us, but people are talking. You could fix this, my mother chimed in from the background. Just explain, apologise. For what? Karen's voice cut in sharply. For acting like you're better than everyone. I laughed softly. Karen, I said, you're the one telling everyone I think I'm better. Silence. Then she hissed, you don't get to rewrite history. Oh, I said calmly. I already did. That's when my father's voice turned dangerous. You're making enemies you don't need. I leaned back against the kitchen counter, staring out at the quiet view I'd earned. I didn't start this, I said. But I won't lose it either. He exhaled sharply. You think you're untouchable now? No, I said. I think I finally stopped being afraid. The call ended. That night, I pulled a box from the back of my closet. Inside were years of emails, texts, voicemails, comparisons, dismissals, jokes at my expense, proof. I hadn't saved them to be petty. I'd saved them because something in me always knew this day might come. Karen thought she could turn everyone against me. What she didn't realize was that the story she told only worked as long as I stayed silent. And I was done being quiet. I didn't respond right away. That was the first mistake they made. They expected tears, a defensive post, a long message explaining myself. Instead, I went quiet. For 2 weeks. During that time, Karen got louder. She started checking in on people, calling relatives she hadn't spoken to in years, telling the story with concern in her voice, like she was worried about my mental state. She's isolating, she told my aunt. She thinks everyone's against her. I'm scared money went to her head. Concern is a powerful weapon when it's fake. Then came the email. Subject line, family meeting. Karen had written it, but she CC'd everyone, parents, aunts, cousins, even my godmother. We're worried about Diane. She's cut us off, she's acting erratically, and we think it's time we talk about next steps as a family. Next steps. That phrase sent a chill through me. I read it twice, then a third time. That wasn't concern. That was positioning. They weren't just trying to shame me anymore. They were trying to define me. I replied with one sentence. I'll attend. The meeting was scheduled at my parents' house. Of course it was. Neutral ground had never been their style. When I arrived, Karen was already in host mode. Tea poured, tissues on the table, soft voice ready. My mother looked relieved. My father looked annoyed. Karen looked triumphant. Thank you for coming, Karen said gently. This isn't an attack. I sat down. Good, I said. Neither is what I brought. Her smile flickered. I took out a folder and set it on the table. Not dramatically, not angrily, just deliberately. What's that? My mother asked. Receipts, I said. Karen laughed nervously. Diane, this isn't the time for... I have timestamps, I continued. Messages, voicemails, emails. My father frowned. What are you doing? I'm clarifying, I said. I opened the folder. First message. Karen, 5 years ago. Don't embarrass us talking about your work. Nobody cares. Second. My mother. Karen just needs more support right now. You understand. Third. My father. You're too sensitive. Learn to take a joke. The room went very still. Karen's voice sharpened. Why are you doing this? Because, I said calmly, you told people I changed. I looked at my aunt. I didn't. I turned to my parents. You just never liked who I was when I stopped playing my role. Karen stood abruptly. This is manipulative. No, I said, this is documentation. She turned to my father. Dad, tell her to stop. He didn't. For the first time, he actually read. Karen's face flushed. You saved those? She snapped at me. Yes. Why? Because I learned early, I said, that when people rewrite history, proof is oxygen. My mother's voice shook. Karen, did you say all this? Karen laughed, brittle and high. You're really choosing her now? That was it. That was the overreach. She'd gone too far. No concern, no confusion, just exposure. I closed the folder. I'm not asking you to choose, I said. I already did. Karen stared at me like she didn't recognize me. Because she didn't. The version of me that stayed quiet was gone. And for the first time in her life, Karen didn't control the room. Karen didn't wait long. 2 days after the meeting, she posted again. Not subtle this time. A long post. Carefully worded. Soft language with sharp intent. When someone refuses help and rewrites the past, sometimes love means speaking up, even when it's uncomfortable. She didn't tag me. She didn't need to. Everyone knew. The comments filled quickly. She's clearly struggling. You're such a good sister. Money isolates people. I watched it all without responding. Because this time, Karen made a mistake. She believed the room was still hers. Then my phone rang. It was my father. You need to make this stop, he said, voice tight. People are asking questions. Good, I replied. He lowered his voice. Karen's worried about you. No, I said. Karen is worried about herself. There was a pause. Take the post down, he insisted. For the family. For whose version of it? I asked. He didn't answer. That afternoon, my aunt came by unannounced. She sat at my kitchen table, twisting her hands. I don't know what to believe anymore, she admitted. Karen says you refused help. I nodded. I refused control. She looked at me carefully. Is that really the difference? Yes. That night, I did something I'd never done before. I posted. No rant, no accusation, no name-calling, just screenshots, dates, times, context. One post. Captioned simply, I stayed quiet for years. I'm done now. The response was immediate. People noticed patterns, the jokes, the comparisons, the tone. Someone commented, why does concern always sound like control? Karen deleted her post within an hour. Then she called me, screaming. You did this to humiliate me, she shouted. I let her finish. You humiliated yourself, I said calmly. I just stopped covering for it. You're tearing the family apart. No, I said. I'm stepping out of the lie that held it together. She went quiet. Then her voice dropped, low and venomous. You think you won? I looked around my house, my peace, my life. No, I said. I think I stopped losing. She hung up. My parents didn't call that night, or the next, but word travelled. Cousins started reaching out privately, apologising, admitting they'd felt the same way, but never said it. Karen's image cracked. Not shattered. Cracked. And cracks are dangerous things, because once people see them, they start looking closer. And I knew Karen well enough to know one thing. She wasn't done, but neither was I. Karen showed up at my door the following Saturday. No warning, no call, just her car in the driveway like she still belonged there. I didn't open the door right away. I watched her through the window. She looked different. No perfect hair, no curated outfit, no performance-ready smile. This was panic. When I opened the door, she exhaled sharply, like she'd been holding her breath the entire drive. We need to talk, she said. No, I replied calmly. You need to talk. I don't. She stepped inside anyway. My parents followed. That was the real ambush. My mother's eyes were red. My father looked exhausted, older than I'd ever seen him. Karen went straight into it. You're destroying us, she said. Extended family won't stop calling. People are asking questions about me. I crossed my arms. You wanted attention. Not like this. My mother stepped forward. Diane, please. This has gone far enough. I waited. I said this would escalate, Karen snapped, and now you're acting innocent. I met her eyes. You escalated the moment you tried to label me unstable. Silence. My father rubbed his face. Karen, did you say that? She hesitated. Just a fraction too long. I was worried, she said. Anyone would be. No, I said quietly. Not anyone. Only someone afraid of losing control. Karen turned on him then. You're just letting her do this, after everything I've done for this family. There it was. Not love, not care. Debt. My mother started crying. Why can't you two just stop? I looked at her gently. Because stopping means going back to how it was. My father straightened. Then what do you want? The question hung there. This was the moment they thought I'd ask for apologies. Acknowledgement. Validation. I didn't. I want peace, I said, and peace doesn't come from proximity. Karen laughed bitterly. So you're cutting us off? I shook my head. I'm setting terms. They all stared at me. You don't get access to my life if you disrespect it, I continued. You don't get to rewrite me, diagnose me, or diminish me. Karen scoffed. You're choosing a house over family. I smiled softly. No, I said. I'm choosing myself. My father's shoulders slumped. For the first time, he didn't argue. Karen stepped closer, eyes blazing. You think this makes you strong? I didn't raise my voice. I know it does. She turned away, furious, humiliated. My parents lingered at the door. My mother whispered, We didn't know how bad it was. I met her eyes. You knew enough. They left quietly. Karen didn't look back. When the door closed, the house went still. Not lonely. Still. And in that silence, I felt something I'd never felt before. Freedom. Not because they were gone, but because they no longer defined me. The noise didn't stop all at once. It faded, like a storm moving farther out to sea. At first, there were small ripples, a cousin texting late at night. I should have said something years ago. An aunt leaving a voicemail that started defensive and ended unsure. I didn't know. I really didn't. Karen went silent. No posts, no calls, no indirect messages pretending not to be about me. That silence told me more than anything she'd ever said. She wasn't reflecting. She was regrouping. My parents called once, 2 weeks after that last visit. My mother's voice was careful now, measured. We're trying to understand where we went wrong, she said. I leaned against the kitchen counter, watching the afternoon light move across the floor. Understanding would have required listening, I replied. This is accounting. She didn't argue. My father spoke next, slower than usual. We didn't think it was that bad. I closed my eyes briefly. That sentence, I said, is why it was. After that, the calls stopped. Not dramatically, just respectfully. And that was new. Time did what confrontation couldn't. It sorted people. Some disappeared completely. Friends of the family who preferred the old story, the comfortable one where I was difficult and Karen was golden. Others surprised me. My godmother sent a handwritten letter. Not long, just honest. I saw myself in you. I didn't protect you. I'm sorry. I cried over that letter longer than I care to admit, not because it fixed anything, but because it named the truth. Karen resurfaced once. At a family event I didn't attend. I heard about it second-hand. She seems lost, someone said carefully. Angry, but without a target. I understood that. When you build your identity in contrast to someone else, what happens when they step out of the frame? I didn't hate her. I didn't forgive her either. I just released her. My house changed too. Not physically, energetically. It stopped feeling like proof. It became home. Some evenings I'd sit with tea, the same kind I served that first day, and think about the version of me who believed silence was safety. She wasn't weak. She was surviving. But she wasn't meant to stay there. One night, months later, my phone buzzed. A text from my mother. We miss you. I stared at it for a long time. Then I typed back, I hope you're well, and put the phone down. Because missing me wasn't the same as knowing me. And I no longer confused the two. I didn't lose my family. I lost the version of them that needed me small. And in exchange, I kept myself. People expect stories like this to end with applause, with someone begging, with a dramatic apology, with a final confrontation where everything is finally said. Mine didn't. Mine ended with a Tuesday morning. I was sitting at my kitchen table, sunlight coming in just the way I like it, drinking coffee I didn't rush through. No noise, no tension humming under my skin, just calm. That's when I realized something important. I didn't feel like I'd won. I felt like I'd arrived. For most of my life, I thought strength looked loud, like proving, like explaining, like earning permission to exist. I thought if I could just show enough evidence of success, of stability, of value, then my family would finally see me. But the truth is, they saw me the whole time. They just didn't like what I represented. I was the mirror that showed them the cost of their choices. The reminder that love shouldn't be conditional. The proof that quiet people are not empty people. And mirrors don't get thanked, they get covered. Karen didn't ruin my life. She revealed it. She showed me exactly how fragile her confidence was, how dependent it was on comparison. Without me beneath her, she didn't know who she was. And my parents? They weren't villains. They were comfortable with a story that didn't require them to change. So I stopped trying to fit into it. I didn't block them. I didn't announce boundaries. I didn't demand closure. I just lived. I built friendships that didn't need hierarchy. I built routines that didn't need approval. I built a life that didn't require explanation. Sometimes people ask if it still hurts. The honest answer? Sometimes. But not because I miss the way things were, because I finally understand what I deserved. And understanding that, really understanding it, changes you. If you're listening to this and you've been the quiet one, the responsible one, the one who was told to wait, to be patient, to be grateful, let me tell you something I wish someone had told me earlier. You don't need to become loud to be powerful. You don't need to be cruel to be strong, and you don't need to stay where you are tolerated instead of respected. Walking away isn't failure. Sometimes. It's the first honest thing you do. I'm Diane, and this is what I kept.